Hi everyone, this is William Vega, and this is my video presentation about the critical discourse analysis and its implication in English language teaching, a case study of political text by Ilahi Rahimi and Karaman Masood Sharifadar. The authors begin their article by arguing the cognitive and linguistic relevance of utilizing critical discourse analysis to analyze English language teaching text. It is important to point out that article focuses on an English as a foreign language context. According to the authors, critical discourse analysis facilitates nurturing critical thinking ability in the students. We could also affirm that critical discourse analysis enhances students' motivation and ability to decode the textual meaning of the text. Later on, authors present their first construct. This first construct is about critical discourse analysis in the educational setting. Authors present three important critical analysis theories that support the relevance of including critical discourse analysis in education. That being said, we could argue that Fairclough explains that critical discourse analysis emerges to find a mixture of social theory and language. Also, we could affirm that Fairclough considers CDA may help to unmask hidden ideologies and also unclear discourse and political control in language use. Fairclough considers three important aspects when it comes to analyze the discourse in the educational setting: text, interaction, and social context. Additionally, Rogers et al. Explains studies in the field support dominant ideology via empowering practice instead of criticizing educational schedule, meaning that practices are basically means through which ideologies and power are transferred without having learners tools, without giving learners tools and opportunities to reflect on what they are consuming, which is in this case are the English language text. Another proposition that we can link to this construct consists of critical discourse analysis develops learners' critical thinking to judge the world and to change it. This construct relates to the methodology employed by the authors by incorporating intentional teaching of critical discourse analysis principles in the instructional delivery students receive to equip them with analytical tools to critically analyze texts and discourses. The last proposition we could link to this construct has to do with how critical discourse analysis reveals discursive relationships between text and the context. This is crucial as this is the beginning of the new understanding learners are grasping of their discursive reality. The next construct authors pose in this article has to do with critical thinking. I will argue that critical thinking seeks to provide intellectual and discursive tools to evaluate the reality and to better understand the tentacles of power. Authors present three important critical thinking theories that support the benefits of critical thinking as well as its significant impact on dismantling hidden intentions in the discourse. With this being said, I could argue that Paul sees critical thinking as the ability to reach second conclusions based on observations and information. According to Paul, students should learn and practice questions that promote evaluating, synthesizing, and analyzing. Additionally, John Dewey poses that developing critical thinking must be of the paramount importance of education. He specifically starts a discussion as to including critical thinking development in the curriculum. We could also argue that Brookfield suggests school systems should aim to awaken, prompt, nurture, and to encourage the process of thinking critically and reflectively. In this sense, instructional activities should all aim to grow critical thinking abilities throughout scholar life. Lastly, we could also affirm that Mayudin et al. Considers critical thinking enhances problem-solving skills, decision-making, as well as to treat thinking skills as constant learning. This construct is linked to both the methodology and the data collection process as it provides the specific and micro skills that students need to develop to push their thinking toward critically understanding the reality. I will now move into some follow-up questions that are also relevant to this Cmap discussion. First, how is language critically analyzed in this article? I think this article attempts to merge language as the bridge through which learners may reach critical thinking and therefore be able to evaluate the words and linguistic environments in which power and specific dominant ideologies are intentionally embedded. As far as it concerns to data method, authors utilize a political text for analysis and a questionnaire. Obama's political speech as a text was delivered to students to analyze it. Before teaching critical discourse analysis techniques, students were asked to analyze this political text in accord with their interests. After teaching these principles, they analyzed the same text for the second time critically. Then they responded a questionnaire that divulged the consequences of critical discourse analysis on males and females. Finally, the analysis of this article tells us that syllabus has to embrace developing the art of critical discipline and hurting them to apply critical discourse analysis. It also tells us that utilizing critical discourse analysis as an applicable tool for language comprehension turns passive students to critical and creative ones. Lastly, it suggests that females were more influenced than males, but in every way the difference was not to a great degree impressive. Well, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. See you soon.